What's up, everybody? Stevie B here from Dynasty Life Fantasy Football. We just had the combine finish up last week, so I've got the rookie wide receiver tier list, my rookie wide receiver tier list that I'm about to break down for y'all. So before we get into it, guys, just hit that like, hit that subscribe if you do play Dynasty Fantasy Football. But let's get right into it. All right, guys, so check it out. I broke it down here into basically 6 tiers. I've got my bottom tier already here for y'all. You see there, Reed, Jarrett, Nakua, Dell, and Eosovis. I've got Eosovis or Eosavis, however you say it, at the top of the list there. Yeah, Eosavis, I mean, 6'3" out of Princeton, 205, ran a 4.43, and he looked smooth. And then Nathaniel Dell following it up there. I mean, he was not impressive as far as where he came in at size wise and weight wise. He's a lot smaller than we thought. Came in at only 5'8", 165, and then ran a 4.49. Made a couple nice catches. So he can catch the football, but I mean, where is he going to get drafted? He's probably going to get late round draft capital. Most of these guys probably, fourth, fifth, or beyond even draft capital for these guys on this bottom tier here. So we'll move on to the bottom of tier five, and I'll move my way up here. So at the bottom of tier five, actually, we have Ford Wheaton. Don't mind the name is all messed up down there. I tried the best I could, guys, but I wanted to make sure at least I put the names because not all of us know what these guys look like exactly. So anyway, Ford Wheaton came in at 6'4", 221 and ran a 4.38, which is really impressive, which is why I have him in that tier now. I think that speed possibly has moved him up the draft boards. And the speed that these guys have don't always correlate to fantasy success, but it does move them up the draft boards. If there's a team that wants to take a chance on a big, tall guy that can really, spread the field, with that speed, Ford Wheaton could be a guy, that can be picked up in the later rounds there. After Ford Wheaton, we've got Trey Palmer. We've got Trey Tucker. We've got A.T. Perry. And then to finish off at the top of that tier, we've got Tyler Scott. At Cincinnati, 5'10", 177, ran a 4.44. Trey Palmer ran a 4.3. Tyler Scott, just a better wide receiver, in my opinion. But this is going to round off the fifth tier here. Again, these guys are probably fourth and on draft picks. I don't think any of these guys are going to get higher draft capital than that fourth round. So, and none of these guys really impressed at the combine. Maybe a little bit with the speed, like I mentioned with Ford Wheaton, but none of these guys kind of impressed at all or raised their draft stock or put people on notice, really. Let's get into this tier four here. We've got at the end of this tier, we've got Parker Washington. And then I've got Rashid Rice ahead of him. Right ahead of him, I've got Marvin Mims. Then we've got Cedric Tillman. Ahead of Cedric Tillman, we've got Xavier Hutchinson, who is one of my possible sneaky good guys coming out here. I really love the route running of Xavier Hutchinson. Right ahead of Hutchinson, we've got Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt didn't impress at the combine at all. Came in actually a little bit slower than what we thought. He ran like a 4.4. Didn't really showcase any route running skills, which we kind of thought already. I don't know what's going to happen with Jalen Hyatt. I think he's just a burner. But depending on where he goes, I mean, he could be successful just, catching bombs. But I think he's just going to be one of those speedsters. And I am a little bit worried about Jalen Hyatt because he's going to get the draft capital because of what he did, last year, obviously. Now to round off tier four, I've got my guy Kayshon Boutte that tops off this tier here. Did not have a great combine. I think his vertical was absolutely horrendous. It was like one of the worst ever. And I don't know. I mean, Boutte, there is something about Boutte where if he can put it all together, um, and if he can find himself in the right situation. Now, this might be a good thing for him that he didn't test that well at the combine because he could get pushed down draft boards and find himself, picked later in the draft on a possible better team in a better situation, that will take the time and work with him because he can be, something special. He's got tremendous upside. But that rounds off tier 4. So let's move into tier 3. We've got 3 tiers left here. And in this tier here, I've got Zay Flowers, who came in a little bit shorter than we expected, a little bit lighter than we expected. And then I've got Josh Downs. So Josh Downs comes in right above of Zay Flowers for me. They're close. You can interchange them either or. I think Downs, just the production that he put up consistently. I mean, even at his size, because he came in a little bit smaller than what we expected as well, which are, obviously things that might worry us a little bit, which is why I do have them in this third tier. But these guys here, in that fourth tier could possibly get that second or third round draft capital. I would say basically second to fourth round draft capital. Most of these guys are going to be in. You've got Josh Downs and Zay Flowers here in my tier 3. These guys can possibly be, first round or second round picks. We'll see. We'll see what happens. But we've got in tier 2, I've got Jordan Addison, and then I've got Quentin Johnston right above that. Had Jordan Addison at the combine. Another one came in a little bit smaller and, not as tall and not as heavy as we expected. And then, of course, we got Quentin Johnston, 6'3", 208 measured in at. Can definitely be that alpha wide receiver. He's one of those boom bust guys, though. So it's just rough. I mean, the body catches are one thing I really don't like about Quentin Johnson. He's definitely got to catch the ball with his hands more. At the combine, he did do that. He did show that a little bit, which was nice to see. But he's got to find himself in a situation, that benefits him. Is he the next DK? I mean, we said almost the same about DK with the route tree. Maybe he doesn't have the greatest route tree, but DK obviously improved on that, and that's not an issue now. And of course, we've got at the number 1 slot, we've got JSN, who just simply by far solidified himself as a wide receiver 1, at least in my eyes, coming in at 6'1", 196. Ran a 6.57 3-cone, which, if I'm not mistaken, is like a record. I don't know if anybody's been faster than that at the 3-cone, but like we expected, silky smooth route runner. Gets in and out, obviously showing on that 3-cone the way he can just change direction so quick and easily. But we've got JSN at the 1 there. So, I mean, post combine, I mean, we don't have much changes. I mean, I think we had Zay Flowers move up a little bit for me. I mean, nothing much, maybe a couple slots. Boutte, I had to move down a little bit. I mean, not a lot has changed for me, but this is what I have. Basically, these are my tiers that I'm breaking it down in. And honestly, guys, I'm comfortable after JSN. I'm comfortable trading that pick and getting a proven player at that point, or coming off and trying to get some other assets. But, JSN, I think, is the one guy that is not going to miss. He is going to be successful in the NFL. I think he's going to be a wide receiver 1. At worst, he's a wide receiver 2. Quentin Johnson, Jordan Addison, Josh Downs, and Zay Flowers. I think all of those guys have an opportunity to be wide receiver 2s. Quentin Johnson has that upside to be that wide receiver 1. The rest of these guys are probably, wide receiver 3s, at best if they're lucky. Boutte, like I said, does have that upside, but not really confident in any of these guys. And with the quarterbacks that are going to be moved up in your super flex draft, Quentin Johnson, Addison, JSN, these guys are going to be available, in that middle to late rounds. If you can get yourself one of the JSN, Quentin Johnson, Jordan Addison, I'm okay taking those picks. But again, I think after that is where, it starts to get a little bit risky for me. And I'd be willing to move off of that pick. But yeah, this is the post combine tiers that I've broken down for y'all. This is how I see it. So guys, let me know in the comments. What do you think? What do you agree with? What do you disagree with? Am I missing some guys on here that should be up here? Let me know down there in the comments. But thanks for tuning in. As always, appreciate y'all. Do me a favor before you get out of here. Hit that like and hit that subscribe if you do play Dynasty Fantasy Football. See y'all.